Oh, this is the thing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the FPL Banger Show. This is the Game Week 10 preview. My name is Siva, and I'm joined by Sam. Sam, let's talk about your game week. We don't normally
or maybe let's not talk about my game week.
we don't normally spend a lot of time reviewing each other's game weeks because it's fairly boring. But this week, Sam, you had some interesting stuff. Shall I tell the listeners what happened?
I can tell. I can tell.
Go
what
ahead.
happened.
Go ahead.
So, pretty bad moves in hindsight. I made 2 transfers this week for -4. I took out KDB for Son, which was not a total disaster. I guess he only had 8 points and Son ceiling was higher. And it was a gut feeling, in FPL. You can't be so boring all the time. You just gotta follow your gut once in a while. But anyway, the other player I brought in was Sinistera. Got red carded for, I don't know why he got red carded. So anyway, so red card with Sinistera, -1 point. My team was a disaster, man, last week. One of those when it rains it pours. I had Kufel in my team, and then he got benched for the first time this season, despite West Ham keeping a clean sheet. His replacement, Neco Williams, comes on, plays 45 minutes, got yellow card, so -1. Sinistera's on -2. Mitrovic got injured, so 0 points. Yeah, that's my team.
It's amazing. I mean, I will say, Sam, I didn't agree with your move to get Son in and captain him, but I mean, that aside, it's like everything else that could have gone wrong for you. Like, I was watching the Leeds game, and Sinistera's red card is the most stupid red card you'll ever see. He gets a yellow card for a nothing tackle, and it was a game where the referee was giving yellows anyway to everybody you could see. And then his second yellow was for him blocking a free kick.
I know, man. This is like playground stuff. Yeah, I don't think bringing Son in was that bad a decision. Not captaining Haaland. Yeah, I mean, if I kept the captaincy on Haaland,
You'd be fine.
things would still be, be decent, I guess. It would have been decent. So, luckily I do have MIDS in, so that kind of saved my week.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Haaland to achieve his biggest point haul of the season so far against United. Who would have expected that? A hat-trick maybe, but a hat-trick and 2 assists? That's thinking too far, man.
No,
But
I think you should have expected it. It was United. You had to expect it, mate. United were awful from the start. I mean, I wasn't expecting 6 goals, but the way City played, I think that just sort of confirmed because I captained Haaland, and that was the only thing I did right this week. I didn't have Maddison, and I paid for that very dearly. And yeah, so going forward, I'm going to have Maddison. But Haaland, I think, has sort of ended captaincy as a debate, right? Because we're not even going to discuss captaincy this week, right?
Yeah, it's really boring, but I guess so. You can't fight it anymore. You have to captain Haaland.
Yeah, so with that in mind, let's talk about all the other positions, because we can't captain Haaland. We can't captain anyone but Haaland. So now the question is, do you even need other premiums, right? Because this was the week where, for someone like me, I've got 3 premiums. I have KDB, Kane, and Haaland. And I didn't have a bad week. I just sort of managed maybe a small red arrow because I did have Maddison. But mid-price mids this week all smashed it. You see, Trossard 20, Foden 19, Maddison 18. We've, Almiron down to 15. Xhaka also scored. He's 5.1. And the question here from CFC Nick, which is a small question, but I thought we can bring it up to a wider topic, right? Whether you bring in Barnes to double up with Maddison. For me, the bigger question here is really, what do you do with premiums who aren't Haaland? Do you even need them anymore? Because you could get a midfield of, Zaha, Trossard, Foden, Maddison, Barnes, like 5 mid-price midfielders, Bowen as well. All great to decent fixtures up to now until the World Cup. Because you're not going to captain any of these premiums. You're never going to captain KDB. You're never going to captain Salah. You're never going to captain Kane.
Not anymore. But yeah. That's exactly what I said last week, Siva. Although I didn't even follow my own advice and captain Haaland. But that's what I said last week. You don't really need Salah anymore because, and all these other premiums, their main selling point to get them buying point, I guess, was that, for their captaincy, right? Their consistency in captaincy, blah, blah, blah. But now we have Haaland. I am with the, just load up the rest of your team, spread the funds, forget about enablers, right? And then just keep the captaincy on Haaland all the time.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I really have to take back some things I said. With James Maddison, I knew this already, right? The XG is meaningless. Some of his goals were ridiculous. Okay, his first goal against Forest, he is a deflected shot outside the box that hits some guy, and then Henderson doesn't move. His second goal is a free kick. But there's no point fighting it. Like, he's just going to keep doing that each week. You got Foden, who are really... I was wrong. I think about 2 weeks ago I said he's not nailed. He's clearly nailed. Like, he's playing now every week. And he's scoring hat-tricks. And Pep gave an interview this week where he says, Foden can play every 3 days.
Foden is nailed. He's definitely first choice, but he keeps being taken off early. Although that didn't, affect him much this week. But, he won't be playing United every week, right?
Yeah.
So quite often he's taken off, I think game week 2 at 45, game week 5 at 54th minute, and then the last 2 game weeks around 70 minutes. Now the Champions League coming around, the only thing I would be worried, it's not so much of his stats, but more of how long does he play, Although it might be enough, right? 70 minutes, get a hat-trick.
Yeah, I guess we have to sort of some perspective, right? It's not going to happen every week. They're not going to rack up that kind of score every week. Some teams will set up more defensively. I think United just didn't. They kind of tried to set up a low block, but it just didn't work, right? I think other teams.
Was like a half kind of thing. Low block, but yet they want to press, but they're not pressing high, and the players just weren't. They just weren't doing well. That's all I can say. I watched the game. I went out. I watched it in a mamak, but I don't know how to explain a mamak to people outside of Malaysia. It's a late night eatery that shows football.
And doesn't serve alcohol, yeah.
Yeah. I left at halftime. I just couldn't.
You're one of those United fans walking out at halftime.
And I was there in an MU shirt and everything. I was like, it's not worth it.
But United won the second half.
Yeah, after I left, right? So maybe I just should not watch any more United games. But yeah. So, Foden, I like him, but still there is a concern there, I think. Maddison, though, I'm all in on Maddison, always have been. Get Maddison.
What about the rest here? We're looking at Trossard. Okay, Almiron is just on the screen just because I don't think I think Almiron's goals are both very not fortuitous. He's been playing well, but I think they're the kind of goals he will find hard to replicate, and they were playing against 10 men, so I think you can caveat it. Also, Newcastle's fixtures, Brentford this week, but then after that they've got, I think, Spurs and United in the next 3, so probably not the easiest, I think, from their perspective.
Yeah.
But Trossard, I actually... Okay, so hat-trick this week. He's playing Spurs with no Emerson Royale. Now, you may think Emerson Royale bad footballer, so that's a bonus. But Conte doesn't trust anybody else at right back. He played Royale again in the UCL this week. So whoever's coming there, probably Perisic. Perisic had a really tough game against Leicester when he played right back. I think they conceded that pen on the right flank within about 3 minutes. He doesn't trust Doherty. He said this week he just doesn't think Doherty is good enough at the moment. Like, he's not fit. If I play him, I will lose the game. That's basically what he said. He doesn't trust Jet Spence. Keeps calling him a club signing. Like, he's not more my. It's like an arranged marriage. I didn't choose this wife. Someone else has picked her for me or something. So I think Trossard, really decent pick. And Trossard in game week 12 in the blank plays Forest. So for me already, I'm thinking Trossard captaincy that week. I would go all in because Liverpool play West Ham. And everybody keeps saying, like, would I normally captain a Liverpool player against West Ham? Maybe, but it's not an easy fixture.
Year.
Yeah, not this year. So, and West Ham typically...
Although Liverpool maybe turn a corner, I'm sure you have a Liverpool section coming up, so maybe we'll save the analysis on Liverpool.
No, let's get into Liverpool now, Sam. Let's talk...
Wow.
I did...
Lined it up perfectly for you, Siva. I didn't know that it was going to be next.
Very impressive segue. And I think Liverpool has to be discussed in the wider debate because when you're talking, let's move to all mid-price mids and get rid of premiums and you don't need to captain anyone but Haaland, you have to talk about Salah and Liverpool. So this is what we have on screen now as a passing map from Liverpool v Rangers yesterday. And I think you're going to see a lot of, I don't want to say pseudo analysis, but you're going to see a lot of FPL shows over the next 2 days trying to be tactical and talk about, the different roles. I think here's the summarized version. They played 4 attackers. They played Darwin, Jota, Diaz, and Salah, which they haven't done this season before. Played them all 4 from the start in a sort of what is traditionally looked at as a 4-2-3-1, but then as you can see in this map here, Trent is deeper than Tsimikas. Trent is, in a withdrawn position. Salah seems to be once again on the wing. I watched the game and he did come inside a bit, but I didn't feel his role vastly changed. What I did notice was Darwin got a lot of chances and probably should have scored. If not for the Rangers keeper, he would have scored maybe 1 or 2 goals on another day. What do you think about this game and how it affects Liverpool going forward? I personally have some views about it, but maybe I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I think Klopp himself said that it is a 4-4-2. But Jota dropped deep, so kind of looks like a 4-2-3-1, I guess. But what they intended is it to be a 4-4-2. And Trent himself said that he was instructed to stay a bit deeper. I think they mentioned something about Rangers, most of their attacking threat coming from their left. So
Ryan Kent.
therefore on his Ryan Kent. So therefore he had to stay back a bit. A more traditional role for Trent, I guess, in a sense, because this season he has been kind of underlapping, getting into the half spaces on the right. But this time he kind of stayed more wide. I don't know what to make of it because it's only one game, right? We don't know if they will use this formation again in the Premier League. All due respect to Rangers, there are Premier League teams, lots of Premier League teams who maybe can provide more attacking threat compared to them. So we'll have to see. Still wait and see for me, I guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to draw some conclusions from this because Klopp said in the post-match press conference that this is not something they did just for Rangers. This is to fix their seasonal issues with defending, and they will. Its suggestion is that he will do this again against Arsenal and City. Now that sounds really good in theory, but I think if you try and play 4 attackers against Arsenal, one issue. Although I think Arsenal on current form, I fully expected Arsenal to beat Spurs and they did. I would be surprised if 4 attackers against Arsenal works out. But against City, there is no way I think 4 attackers will work. I just imagine that they are going to get overrun so much because just the way they ran against United, Grealish tore Dalot inside out. I can't imagine how Grealish and Bernardo will deal with Trent, especially if Salah's way out wide. He'll have to come back. I'm not sure if you have Darwin, Jota and Diaz, whether Thiago and Henderson can possibly control that midfield. So I just feel like I'm not sure this holds, and there's no guarantee that he sticks with this, I think, for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Plus, the fixtures are so bad, there's no reason for you to rush into Liverpool right now, Give them the 2 weeks, and then maybe in game week 12, you may want to hop on them if they do well the next few weeks. Wait and see.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Given, it's also important to remember, like you mentioned, right, Rangers didn't offer much going forward. I looked at their XG and stuff and I did see the game. They really didn't offer anything. I can't recall them having even one good chance. So you'd have to see how they do against teams that actually offer an attacking threat, force them to sort of think about things, which will happen in the Premier League each week. Not just in these next 2 weeks, but again in Game Week 12, West Ham not any pushover side. So they're going to have an issue. West Ham, in fact, I think beat them last year, right, at the Olympic Stadium. So something to think about. What do you do if you're already on Salah and Trent, though? Because there was a question, I didn't post it on the screen, but there was a question here from, I think, Tills798, who asked, what do you do with Salah and Trent? So we don't own them. It's a bit hard for us to get into that mindset. But if you did, what would you do?
This is tough. I would sell Trent, I think. Trent is a sell for me. I know he scored the free kick, kept a clean sheet. But, I don't know, in the league. And plus, if there were 2 teams you would bet on scoring right now, it would be Arsenal and City. They are the 2 best teams in the league based on form right now. So I would sell Trent. Salah, I think if you're stuck with him this long and you have no reason to make the transfer, right? Yeah, if you're not needing funds or anything like that, then you might as well just keep him, I guess, because there's a chance he'll get a cheeky assist here and there, cheeky pen. I wouldn't bet on it, but there is a better chance of return from Salah, I think, rather than Trent.
Yeah, I think if you have 2 free transfers, I would be tempted to sell because then you can get, depending on what your midfield is, right? Maddison, Zaha, Foden, Bowen, Barnes, as we discussed. I think then I'd be interested.
Would you bring in Foden right now, despite the blank in 12?
I think it's hard for any serious FPL player to recommend that, right? I think it depends on your strategy. It depends on what your team looks like for 12. I think it is a hard sell to bring in a City player. Now, some people may be free hitting in 12, I don't know. Again, that may not be recommended because they will say that, people will say that you have blanks and doubles coming up in the second half of the season. So you shouldn't use your free hit, which I think makes sense. But if you look at your team in 12 and you've already got 11 or 10 to play and you can afford to make that move, I think you can risk 1 week. Sometimes you do get stuck in the long term of, looking at things maybe too long term. And if you've got 1 or 2 players, like for instance, if you don't have triple City and triple Arsenal, if you've only got a few players missing for 12, I think you can afford to take 1 extra week and move your funds around. I think the most important thing is, for me, is I don't feel the need that like I see a lot of people saying you can't sell Salah because the alternative is KDB. You don't have to go to KDB. If you split him up to Maddison and Zaha, for example, I think that's a really decent combo. Salah plus whatever, 5 million mid versus Maddison and Zaha. I think I'd take Maddison and Zaha.
Agreed. Unless that 5 million mid is Granit Xhaka. Huh?
That's a very good segue, Sam. I was going to talk about...
Oh, don't tell me Xhaka is next.
Hey! Oh! You're 2 slides off, but it's okay. We'll go to Granit Xhaka. Because I did want to talk about Granit Xhaka very briefly. Because, again, similar to Foden, right? It's hard to bring a case for bringing in Granit Xhaka now because of the blank. But... And this is something about biases. Like, people asked me a few weeks ago, would you touch Granit Xhaka? And I said, no. Like, why would you? He's a DM. He's not a DM anymore. He's box to box. He's getting into attacking positions. There were times against Spurs he was the most advanced player for Arsenal, which makes no sense. He's 5.1 million. He's got 2 goals and 3 assists, which is the same as Salah, by the way. More penalty touches than Son. And so we had a question here from Kushairi. Is Xhaka at 5.1 million sensible? Good differential as well. What do you think?
I think yes. I think out of all the 5 million-ish price players, he's the best right now because 1, he's nailed. 2, he is, like you said, no longer a DM. They priced him as a DM, but he's not. With the signing of Zinchenko has been pushing up, tucking in to the left side of the midfield, which gives the freedom for Xhaka to push up. Like you said, there were points where he was the most forward, if not the most forward, he was kind of on the wing, with Martinelli cutting in, and it's just weird stuff is going on the left flank. But it's good news for Xhaka. I think if I was wildcarding and I needed a 5 million-ish enabler, Xhaka would be top of my list. If I'm not wildcarding and you still, need to move some funds around, Xhaka. I don't blame you, Siva, because, we all thought he was a DM. And then, you see it in a few games, but you can't draw a full conclusion in just, 1 or 2 games. But now, 8-9 weeks in, I think it's proven that Xhaka is no longer DM, he's more box-to-box. He's getting in, making those late runs. 2 goals, 3 assists, like you said. I think Xhaka is the best option under 5.5.
Yeah, I think there's something here to be learned about, keeping your biases out and sort of learning lessons, I think. And in that vein, in terms of your plans for sort of game week 12, Sam, what is your plans? Because we never really talked about it, and there hasn't been a question about it, but I'm just wondering, are you planning to just bench these guys? Are you going to stop bringing any Arsenal and City players now? What is your plan?
Oh yeah, that is a good caveat. So anyone who doesn't know, Arsenal and City are blanking in 12. So when I say bring Granit Xhaka in, I mean bring him in with a plan for game week 12. But yeah, originally I was just going to bench. My bench was just going to be Haaland, Martinelli, Cancelo. Sell anyone else from Arsenal and City, aside from those 3. And my team was set up nicely for it. I used live FPL, set up my transfers. It was going to look great for 12. And then shit happened, I guess. Neco William possibly lost his place to Who came in to replace him?
Serge Aurier.
Yeah. See, they signed 23 players. I can't remember. Serge Aurier came in. Maybe favoured from now on. I don't know. Patterson got a long-term injury. Mitrovic, we don't know much about his injury. Same with Isak. Sinisterra's on a red card. Although he will be back, right? I think 2 yellow ban, it's only
One. Yeah.
one game. So yeah, he will be back. Kufel lost his place. I don't know for how many weeks. So yeah, my team's in deep shit right now.
So you may end up free hitting.
Nah. I would take hits. I won't free hit.
Okay, fair enough. But you brought up an interesting question, because we had a question here from FPL Addictive about Solanke or Xhaka, and I thought that it's probably in the context of a Mitrovic replacement. Now we are recording before Champions League on Thursday or Wednesday, so we don't know what is the status about Mitrovic's injury. Let's play devil's advocate. Let's assume it's medium to long term. Let's assume you need a replacement. Solanke or Xhaka were the two options that FPL Addictive talked about. Now I've got the fixtures here just for teams with a mid-priced to budget striker: Palace, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Fulham, so on. Who are you looking at?
Callum Wilson. I love Callum Wilson. In fact, last week, I was really tempted on selling Isak for Wilson. 1-for-1 replacement, that's one. 2, Wilson's on really good form until he got injured, right? He's only played 4 games, but he scored in 3 of those 4 games. So, kind of lucky this week, but a goal's a goal, right? Wilson does what he does. And but the reason why I didn't is because of the uncertainty once Isak is back. We don't know how they will play. A lot of rumours is saying that Wilson probably play up top, Isak will probably go on the wing, maybe taking Almiron's place. But there's no certainty, right? Because they haven't played together. So that kind of put me off him. But right now, I don't know, I'm just feeling Wilson again, so... It's still a worry. It's still a worry, but there is no answer for it.
No, but I think the good thing about Wilson is he starts. Like, we know his first choice. We know how we'll play him as long as he's fit. Yes, his fitness is another issue, but the point is, when he's fit, he plays. Whereas, I look at all these other teams, right? Solanke plays for a bad team, as we expected. And in fact, played on the wing for Bournemouth this week for no reason, right? So, who knows? Palace, Odsonne-Edouard, Mateta still rotating. Like, I would love Odsonne-Edouard to be nailed, but he's not. Fulham, okay, so we've got Mitrovic. West Ham, okay, a lot of people talking about Scamacca because he scored this week, but he also came off on 65 minutes, and that's been the trend. He doesn't seem to play them together. He takes one off for the other. So if Scamacca is going to get 60 minutes each week, or if he's going to get 30-60, then no, I don't want that. Villa, Watkins is nailed, but they can't score any goals, although they play for us this week, so there is that. Leicester, I did mention this on Twitter. Leicester do play in the sort of early kickoff this week, and that's the one team you get team news for, so I'm kind of tempted by Xhaka, but again, a lot of flags in the sense that he's never going to be nailed. He didn't even start this week against Forest.
Yeah. So
Marshall,
what if you get the league, and Xhaka starts this week and then he doesn't start next week?
Yeah, so
what are you going to do with him? So.
It's not a long-term solution, and the issue is he's a striker, so as we mentioned with Solanke last week, you're always going to want to play him, and you are going to get burnt at some point. The other two options, okay, so we talk about nailness, right? What about 2 Man United players, actually? What about Marshall, who did score 2 goals this week off the bench? Decent fixtures, Everton, Newcastle, Spurs in the next 3. Or Danny Welbeck, who did look really good against Liverpool. And people seem to be keen on him.
Welb's he's nailed, so you have that for him. At least he starts. Although I'm looking at it right now. In game week 5, he only played 27 minutes, but I can't
different
remember.
coach. Though.
That's true. He hasn't scored this year. Kind of interesting, right? I felt like he has, but actually he's only had 4 assists.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive, actually. Yeah, he looked good. Although if I were to get one player from Brighton, it would be Trossard.
Yeah.
And I'm no chance I'm going to double up Trossard and Welbeck. So, and he's 6.5, not exactly like cheap enough to bench on the weeks you don't need him,
Yeah.
I would change formation. That's what I would do.
Sam wants to deflect the question.
No, there's no good strikers. Oh yeah, Marshall. Now he's not nil. I know he scored 2, right? Or 3. Anthony scored 3 goals for United this week. It's just split between 2 Anthonys, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, he's not nil. He may start, he may not. Who knows? I don't know. Only Ten Hag knows. Maybe he doesn't even know right now. So no. That's a no from me for Marshall.
So basically, your only option is Wilson.
Yeah, that's how sad the striker situation is right now. Even Bamford didn't start, right? Even though everyone expected him to.
Nah, still the fitness issues. I think, look, formation change sounds pretty good, but the issue why people won't do it is because game week 12, right? You can't be having a non-playing 4.3 going into game week 12. Unless your bench is strong enough that you have a second bench option and you can bench your 4.3 million forward. So if you can't do a formation change, you got to take a risk somewhere. And I think if you are going to take a risk, yeah, I think if Daka starts this week, I'd be tempted. If not, I think then you got to go up to Wilson. And I really just don't fancy Solanke. I don't see what you're going to gain out of it, except a bunch of 2-pointers.
Yeah, in which case, if you're taking a hit for a 2-pointer, you might as well just play with 10 men in game week 12.
Controversial, Sam. I don't know if I feel okay about that.
No, I mean, like, let's say it's game week 11, and you have 10 men with one striker not playing. Will you take a hit to bring in Solanke?
Fair enough.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think get the best option for the next 2 weeks, and if they have a decent fixture in 12, hopefully you get lucky. I think, yeah, I would avoid the guys who, the more expensive they are, they're not nailed. Yeah, so Marshall, we'll see. I mean, I'm more enthusiastic about you but then I'm not a United fan, so maybe...
He looked hungry for his first goal, at least.
Could be on pens.
I mean,
why did Bruno let him take that pen, right? So.
Maybe. But the first goal, at least, he looked hungry. Ball was in the air, first to react, ran through the players, headed it in. Maybe he is hungry to prove himself, but I wouldn't go this week, Let's give it a few weeks first to see how it goes.
Yeah. But between Solanke and Daka, now, I think it's very simple, right? Leicester, we should get team news. We've got to answer the question here. If Daka doesn't start, then you can't do it. Then I guess, with no other choice, yeah, I guess Solanke has to be it, right? Because he will start.
He is the cheapest starting option, I think.
Cheapest starting
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he play on the wing because Kiefer Moore started this week?
Yes.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the Bournemouth...
Mbeumo is nil, right?
And Mbeumo
Kinda.
is... Yeah, I think there was 1 week he didn't start. Actually, Mbeumo was not a bad shot. I didn't put up Brentford here, but actually Mbeumo was not a bad shot. I think it's 5.9 mil.
Yeah, he's only 0.2 more than Solanke, and he definitely has a higher chance of returning compared to Solanke by the fact that he has already returned.
Alright.
Twice.
Okay. Let's finish up, Sam, with a question here about defenders. So we had a question here from CFC Nick. Best kinda cheap, I like this, kinda cheap defender that you fancy. Connor Cody, Darlow, Justin, Bournemouth. Okay, you may laugh, but Bournemouth kept another clean this week, and they clearly can't attack, so clean sheets is the only way. So we got some of the fixtures for these teams up on the screen now. My personal preference is either Guehi of Palace, 4.3, so what's not to like, and I think Palace fundamentally sound as a defense, although they got some injuries right now. So I think that's probably an issue, and I want to see if they get all their guys back in time for the next week fixtures. That aside, I like Castagne from Leicester. Bournemouth next. He's got some attacking threat. I have no idea how, but he got 2 bonus points this week, which was weird, in a 4-0 win.
Yeah.
And I own Darlow, and I love Diego Darlow. I think the attacking threat is there. Like, I'm going to play him this week, and he's going to get an assist. Because I looked at something, United only create chances from the right flank, apparently. Like, that's where, 75% of their chances come from. And Darlow's completely nailed. Wan-Bissaka's injured. He doesn't seem to like Wan-Bissaka at all. Who are you looking at?
Darlow, I think... I'll probably bring Darlow in this week. So, Darlow number 1, I think. Fofana's not here.
Not nailed,
4.4.
right?
I don't know, ex-manager.
Started,
No, not
no.
ex-manager. Sorry. Yeah.
Started this week, but
Getting
didn't
things
start in
mixed up.
Potter's
Sorry,
first game, I
yeah.
think. That was my issue.
Yeah, but at the right centre-back position, there isn't many other players he can play there. Yeah, maybe a wait and see if he's nailed. If he does get nailed though, then you have Dalo and Fofana, less than 4.5 defenders from top 6 teams, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, aside from that, I do like Guehi from Crystal Palace. I do like Crystal Palace. Before the start of the season, I already kind of bookmarked their fixture turn here in Game Week 8. But I don't know, they just don't look as solid as they did last season.
No.
Although, granted, their fixtures has been extremely hard in the opening 8 weeks. But even in the easier fixtures, they're not really keeping clean sheets. Right? How many have they kept this year?
This is the kind of thing I should know. I think it was...
Okay, I'm going to check it out right now. It is 0. Oh no, 1 against Newcastle. Yeah.
And they were quite fortunate. I think they conceded about 1.8 XG in that game.
Correct, yeah. Bournemouth, really crazy, but at home, their past two home games, they kept a clean sheet. They've been quite solid since Neto started playing. Neto's their new keeper signing. You may remember Neto from...
Barca.
I don't remember. Yeah, Barca, that's it. Barca's third keeper at one point. Second keeper, maybe.
Second keeper.
But yeah. So he came in Game Week 5. In that 4 weeks he's played, 2 clean sheets. One of it he made like 6 saves, so he ended up with 4 points still. The other one was a 0. So, but yeah, quietly doing well. Bournemouth defenders. Everton, I don't know. The fixtures look quite hard, right?
Fixtures are
United,
hard.
Spurs, Newcastle. So I wouldn't jump on Everton yet. Although that's it. Now that Cody and
Tarkowski.
Tark, are playing, they do look more solid. Not touching Villa. I'm still not touching Leicester despite Castan, despite them keeping a clean sheet. They were very fortunate,
Yeah.
I think Forest had like 2, maybe 3 chances where they should have scored. One where Taiwo hit the post. So I still don't expect them to keep many clean sheets moving forward.
Yeah, I think that is the... Although they're probably going to keep on against Bournemouth, which is really annoying. But yeah, Crystal Palace Leeds will all
Who
score.
knows? Kiefer Moore. In the 89th minute, wiping out clean sheets.
Maybe. I think Newcastle... Would I take another
Most was
defender?
already Trippier and Pope, right? Although that said, I saw someone post on Reddit, and they had like Trippier, Shah, and Botman, and all of them got taken off, so all of them kept their clean sheets. Just kind of amazing.
Yeah, he
But
did
yeah,
that. He
yeah.
took off Trippier, Shah, and Botman all before the goal. If he'd only taken Pope off, if only.
Yeah.
What
Was
about
it Botman?
Brighton?
Was it Burn? I can't remember. Anyway, Brighton, I don't know. I'm still unsure about the new manager. Oh, they did play well. I mean, they had 3. Trossard scored a hat-trick. They drew 3-3 with Liverpool. But just one game, I don't know if they'll be defensively solid. Plus, the fixtures are hard.
Yeah, I think the fixtures are the biggest
Kind
issue.
of mixed, I guess, right?
Yeah, Spurs and City in the next 4, I think, and Chelsea. So Spurs, City, Chelsea in the next 5 doesn't look great. And yeah, the style that they're playing, first glance does look really attacking. Maybe to almost too attacking, the way Liverpool came. But it's Liverpool, so you can't really judge. The point is, I think fixtures are just too difficult. Like, I like the role that Estupinan had, really advanced, but that doesn't bode well for clean sheets. So I think, yeah, cheap defender here. I would love to go, like I said, for a Leicester defender, just based on how they played and Castanier's attacking threat. And Bournemouth have some issues with set pieces, but I think common sense choice here, Gehi's the cheapest nail guy, 4.3. And if you want to spend slightly more, yeah, I like Dalot. I think at least you have some attacking threat, plus big team buyers, you'd hope they keep a bit more clean sheets. And I don't think, for all the United, I know there's a lot of negativity about United this week, how they played against City, but they were playing against Man City, right? That's the best team in the country, one of the best teams in the world, on a different level. So I don't think you need to be so down on United.
What about West Ham defender? Do You didn't mention West Ham in this list, but they actually have pretty nice fixtures coming up. They kept a clean sheet, in the
Everybody's
previous game
keeping a
week.
clean sheet against Wolves, mate.
Yeah, okay, that's true. But yeah, next Fulham, Southampton. Now they are playing Liverpool in 12. Then Bournemouth after that, United, Crystal Palace. A pretty nice run of fixtures. And they have some pretty cheap guys, I think. Zuma is 4.4, maybe 5. Tilo Kere
Yeah.
has been starting every week. Had an assist this week too. So
Yeah, they moved him to right back.
He's
They dropped
4.5.
profile.
Yeah, exactly, which was really annoying. Because Cresswell came, I don't know. Yeah, Cresswell came back from injury, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, West Ham does look good. Zuma is nil at least, so you can go Zuma.
Yeah. I think the reason why people aren't looking at West Ham this week is more because they play in 12 against Liverpool, and a lot of people, again, you need this guy to play in 12, right? Whoever you bring in. So I think that's what's putting people off. But like you said, the next two, really decent fixtures. And if Mitrovic is out, all the more reason that suddenly becomes a really decent fixture. I think I might consider it that. Because Fulham without Mitrovic, I think, will struggle to score. Southampton, again, struggling to score anyway. On that basis, I think it's sort of a trade-off, right? If you can get 2 clean sheets in the next 2 weeks, you don't really care about 12.
Yep. Alright.
Okay, I think that's very good. Let's talk a very difficult decision this week, Sam. Who are you going to captain?
Okay. I read about this guy named Haaland. Seems
Yeah.
to be quite a good asset. So he's got 2 hat tricks back to back at home, right? He's playing at home this week, so yeah.
No, he's got
3
3
hat-tricks back to back?
3 hat-tricks.
No, 2. Oh yeah, 3 hat tricks at home back to back. So another hat trick this week. 4 hat tricks. A hat trick every home game. That'll be my prediction for Haaland now. Or expectation for Haaland now.
Hat-trick every game, mate.
I don't know about that. He's only scored a hat trick at home, so if there are weeks that you'd want to captain him, don't captain him when he's playing away.
I don't see any grounds to not captain Haaland as long as, unless you have any news that he's not playing. I think every week, people think we're being hyperbolic here, but I really don't. Like, he's literally on a different level. Like, you've not seen, I think I posted a stat that day. If you compare him, what he's doing right now to what Suarez did and what Salah did in his 17-18 season, at this stage, I think Salah at 8 games into that 17-18 season where he scored 31 goals, he had like 4 goals. Suarez, I think, had about 6 or 7. Haaland has 14.
All the stats are like coming out now, right? Like he has 3 hat tricks already in 8 games. It took Michael Owen 48 games to score 3 hat tricks or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just like insane stats coming out. Anyway, there's no reason not to captain him anymore. Last week, maybe you could argue that United was a tough game, but then he dispelled that, so you literally have no reasons at all to not captain him.
Okay, so let's talk a little, let's go ahead a bit, because a bit of a conceptual question here, but a lot of people want to talk about this, and I think it affects your transfers going forward. Game week 11, right? Haaland plays Liverpool, Spurs play Everton. I see a lot of people, so-called, let's say, smarter accounts or whatever, analytical players, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. People want to say that you should try and captain Kane that week against Everton. I own Kane. I have zero intention of captaining Kane over Haaland that week. What would you do?
I tried that this week. Captain Son. Didn't work out well.
Against Arsenal, mate.
I expected him to score. I think if it wasn't for the red card, maybe a cheeky goal towards the end. But I think Arsenal are always winning. The North London derby has always been like that. Whoever plays at home wins, right? Well, Arsenal at home, Arsenal wins. But yeah, I don't know. Game week 11's a bit.
So Haaland goes to
think of it, I
Anfield,
guess.
and Kane hosts Everton.
I don't know. Logically, in seasons past, you would not captain when they're playing a tough fixture. You wouldn't captain anyone playing against Liverpool, but Liverpool this year has been. That's kind of shambolic, right? I think it goes back to the whole formation change. Let's see how it goes. If they look really solid this week against Arsenal, if they win like 4-0, Arsenal 0 chances, then maybe you can think twice. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. No. I mean, even if they win 6-0 against Arsenal, it doesn't make a difference. The point is City is just playing on a different level. And that's why I captain Haaland this week. It's not like, okay, yeah, it's easy to just stick with the one guy. But the point is, the team he plays for can do it to anybody. So it's not, it doesn't really matter what Liverpool do to their defense. And how much can they fix it, right? They conceded 3 to Brighton. They've conceded to almost everybody they played. I think they have, 3 clean sheets this season? They are not a solid defensive unit. I would be more scared if Haaland was going against some team that just sits back and defends, like when they played against Villa, right? Villa didn't do anything going forward. They just sat back and tried to hold on. That's actually a more difficult prospect. Liverpool has to come out and attack. They're at Anfield. They can't sit back for 90 minutes. If Welbeck and Trossard were running rings around that defense. Haaland and De Bruyne and Foden and Grealish. I don't get...
Bernardo Silva. Why do no one mention Bernardo Silva?
A lot of good build-up, but he didn't have any contributions. And we won points,
Oh, that's not true. Because Bernardo Silva has returned 5 out of the past 6 game weeks.
Yeah, but he didn't return this week, so no one's going to talk about him. That's the thing with City.
He had an assist.
Yeah, but Foden got a hat-trick, mate.
Yeah, but, he won't get a hat-trick every week.
That's the thing with
It
City.
seems like Bernardo Silva's getting an assist every week.
there's always going to be a new shiny thing at City, That's the issue. There'll always be somebody else scoring.
I know, I've had my eye... He's also 1 million cheaper than Foden. Anyway, I had my eye on Bernardo Silva for a long time, so just throwing his name out there, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, that's just one thing I want to talk about, because a lot of people seem to be getting in an argument over perma-captain Haaland, and you can't possibly do that, and there are still other ways you can beat him.
You can. Those who played FPL long enough know that perma-captain is a viable route when an asset like this comes along. We had Van Persie in his United season. Yeah. We've had Suarez in that season. So yeah, once in a while, this kind of players do come along, and you have there's Salah in that season, So once in a while, you do get this kind of players where you just should perma-captain them. And I think Haaland has already proven his case. There's nothing more he can do to convince you guys, man. If you're not gonna perma-captain him now, you're just stubborn.
Okay. Fair enough. And who are you captaining in Game Week 12, Sam, before we finish? Right, as of now.
That's the only week you can't captain Haaland, right?
Yeah. So that's the interesting question.
Son, I guess, is my only other premium.
Son against United.
Oh, wait, I didn't see the fixture. Okay.
Sam, see. Son at Old Trafford against United.
Oh, okay, that's a tough game.
That's what you said last week.
We'll see. I don't know. It's too early to tell, Siva. Maybe Madison. Maybe Madison.
Leicester play Leeds. That's not a bad shot. At home as well.
Yeah. And if he does well this week again, not a bad shot.
Yeah. I'm going to say Trossard against Forest. I don't think it's a meme. I genuinely think Brighton at home, it's the first fixture, so if he blanks, you get on with the rest of the day, you just sort of, okay, it's off my head. But I think, especially it looks like Forest are going to keep the coach for now. So
For now. But I think if they get trashed this weekend, then he's gone.
Yeah, but whoever it is, even better, comes in, chaos and all that. I mean, hopefully. I think as it stands, I like the idea of Trossard. And you look at this chart we have here, right? The defense is just all over the place. Anyway, I think that's enough from me, Sam. Anything else from you?
No, that's it.
Okay, so we will be back for Game Week 11. Game Week 11. But in the meantime...
11, that's right. Get those green arrows, guys. Great, those green arrows. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, and Captain Haaland. Okay.